Hello, hello, hello. It's me, 09. From what I seen in the poll I posted, you want more of fictional content, so I decided to react to Lilo and Stitch remake Ohana Means Nothing from Possum reviews. I haven't watched him a lot recently. I remember watching him a lot, especially when he posted the video about the autistic predator. That was a really nice video. Okay, let's start.
Hi, I'm a Possum and I find garbage. Today's garbage is Lilo and Stitch, the live-action remake which ends with Lilo getting taken away by the state, but it's framed as a good thing because now Nani can become a career woman. Oh, spoilers, I guess. I suppose I should explain what the original Lilo and Stitch is in case you haven't seen it on Disney+, which I have to make an obligatory reference to because the YouTube algorithm likes it when I talk about products. So real quick, Lilo and Stitch is a 2D animated movie released by Disney in 2002 about an aggressive and indestructible bioengineered alien lifeform named Stitch, who escapes his handlers and crash lands on Earth, specifically Hawaii, where he poses as a dog and gets himself adopted by a little girl named Lilo, who is under the guardianship of her older sister Nani, who is under threat from a social worker named Mr. Bubbles of losing custody over her. Stitch uses Lilo as a human shield to evade capture by his alien creator, Jumba, and the self-professed Earth expert he teams up with, Pleakley. When they fail to capture Stitch, their leader, the Grand Councilwoman, sends a giant alien named Captain Gantu who captures him and Lilo. Stitch manages to escape, then he, having learned to overcome his evil nature, teams up with Nani, Jumba, Pleakley, and Nani's love interest David to rescue Lilo. Then the Grand Councilwoman decides to let Stitch live on Earth with Lilo and the others in a scene in which Mr. Bubbles is revealed to be a retired CIA agent who has met her before, and Stitch lives happily ever after with Lilo and Nani, having learned about the importance of family. The remake plays out more or less the same way, but with some changes to major details, which I'll get to. Okay, so every time I review one of these Disney remakes, I say the same thing. The very notion of remaking an animated classic in live action is insulting to the art form of animation because it implies that these classics can be improved by making them not animated anymore. For whatever reason,
I don't even see what would be. I guess people like live action stuff, but it just saddens me because I really like animated stuff, especially anime. I do like also live action stuff, but generally I like them for different reasons, and they have their different strength. It's not like one is superior to the other linearly, just they are different character builds in this entertainment game. To be fair, everything now sucks.
Western audiences have this attitude that animation is an inferior medium, which is ironic considering the creative freedom it allows for when compared to live action. One of the things I criticize the Snow White remake for is almost every musical number consists of characters just standing around or walking, and the only visually interesting musical numbers are the ones with the dwarfs who are fully animated characters so you can do anything with them, whereas live action limits you to the confines of three-dimensional space and physics. It requires CGI if you want to do anything more complicated.
Yeah, that's the thing, but when you watch the older productions from China or from West, the choreography is much more interesting than in many animated stuff. So it's not just that limits limits breed creativity. though the thing is, the animation can give you different limits and you can do different stuff, but the nobody even tries to accomplish anything with live action. They just don't try. Don't know. The actors, many of them feel like they don't know how to do anything.
That isn't feasible with practical effects or stunt work. And what is CGI if not animation? Whether it's 2D and hand-drawn or 3D and computer animated, it's still animation. You literally need animation to make possible a lot of what we see in modern live-action movies. A lot of these big live-action movies these days have so much animation in them that they rightfully shouldn't even be called live-action because 90% of what you see is animated. And yet animation, the thing that makes these movies possible, is looked down upon. Even in this movie, the main character, Stitch, is still animated for obvious reasons. I mean, how else would you make this character in a live-action movie? A puppet? A dwarf in a costume? So whether or not Disney calls it animation, the irony is they're still relying on the inferior medium of animation to make these live-action remakes. So what's even the point? You just join animation with extra steps and the result is a worse product. Speaking of live action, there was this stupid controversy about the casting of this movie coming from the social justice crowd. You know, the type of people who pretend to be anti-racist, but every single thing is about race to them and they bring it up every chance they get. Well, even though the actresses that got to play Lilo and her sister Nani are both Hawaiian, these people on Twitter complained that they were too light-skinned. Like, imagine being a 7-year-old Hawaiian kid and getting the starring role in a major Disney movie, and then a bunch of adults on Twitter say you're not Hawaiian enough because your skin's the wrong color. And these people think they're the good guys.
But Lilo being dark-skinned is central to her character. She gets bullied for being dark-skinned by a white girl.
No, she doesn't. That's not in the text or even the subtext of the movie. Myrtle calls Lilo weird because she was acting weird, talking about feeding sandwiches to fish. And this caused Lilo to attack her and send all the other girls screaming and cowering. If anything, Lilo was the bully. She even stole Myrtle's tricycle when she didn't accept her apology, and that was after we see Myrtle and her friends trying to flee from her because they're rightfully afraid of someone who's prone to violence. And some of Myrtle's friends who also reject Lilo are just as dark-skinned as her. Did you even see the movie? Besides, if you are okay with them race-swapping a character who's literally named after the fact that she has white skin, and I know you're the same people, then you don't get to complain about a brown girl being slightly less brown.
But what about the deleted scene where these tourists are being racist and stuff?
I don't care. It was deleted. Probably because it didn't have anything to do with the actual themes of the movie, which are about family and stuff like that. It was deleted and therefore not part of the story.
You could say that it was like this movie had different themes and stuff, and they decided to do more like simple stuff. I guess the thing is that with most stories it's usually better to go straight with the story and not force anything. Also, even if it's also like, if you wanna judge stuff using like deleted scene and stuff, you pretty much, there is like problem with that because like then you can argue that stuff that many other stuff could be seen as part of it, like the spin-offs and stuff and cameos in other stuff, like you need to have like good boundaries. There is a story to not like make it seem overblown. So I see it more or less what if scenario in the movie of the in the movies world. So yeah, don't take it seriously like that.
Story. It's not canon. It's irrelevant. That's what happens when scenes get deleted. They become irrelevant. Like that deleted scene in Alien where Ripley finds people being turned into eggs, which obviously contradicts the sequels. This isn't canon because it wasn't included in the final product and didn't make its way into any official media until the director's cut, which came out 17 years after the first sequel established the Queen. It means nothing. Now go away and stop making me defend a Disney remake. So because Disney has to at least pretend that they remake their old movies for reasons other than cashing in on nostalgia, they made some changes to the story, and like always, just about all of these changes are for the worse. The pacing for the first 5 or 10 minutes feels really off. It starts more or less the same way as the original movie, but feels like it's rushing through it really fast. Like the filmmakers wanted to spend as little time as they could on these scenes so they wouldn't have to animate all these alien characters. Speaking of which, when Jumba and Pleakley get to Earth, they disguise themselves as humans. But in the original movie, they put on these crappy costumes that clearly don't disguise the fact that they're aliens, because that's funny. In this movie, they use these alien devices that reconfigure their bodies to look exactly like humans, kind of like the bounty hunters and critters. So then they're just played by human actors for the entire rest of the movie until the last 5 minutes, and that's incredibly lame. Did they think this gag wouldn't work in live action? The Ninja Turtles movie did it. It's the sort of thing that comes across like it was done not because they thought it would be better, but because it was cheaper than having 2 fully animated CGI characters running around. And the weird thing is, the animation isn't even bad. I mean, Pleakley looks terrible for the 2 minutes of screen time he gets. That's because they botched his character design. Stitch looks great. He's not only true to his original design, he's animated well and blends into every shot he's in seamlessly. But then there are these scenes where they obviously took shortcuts. There's this one part where Stitch gets upset and goes back to the animal shelter where Lilo found him, and he sits in a cage he busted out of earlier which still has the big hole in it. I guess because no one working there cleaned it up or fixed it. But then Lilo comes to talk to him, and he climbs out through the hole, but they don't show him getting out. They show Stitch sitting in the cage, and then they cut away to Lilo's reaction, and then they cut to Stitch outside the cage, like they didn't feel like animating it. It's weird because there are scenes that would have been just as hard to animate where they don't do that. Like the surfing scene where they would have had to mask around all the water splashing. Was this a reshoot thing where they had to get it done in 2 days or something? Getting back to Jumba, he doesn't have a Russian accent anymore, and the actor who played him, Zach Galifianakis, just uses his regular voice. And it doesn't suit this character at all. They also completely changed the character because now he's the main villain. That's right, they got rid of Captain Gantu, and that's probably why the beginning feels so rushed, like they originally had him and then deleted all of his scenes at the last minute. And then they made Jumba the main villain. I mean, Jumbo was a minor villain in the original movie, but he wasn't evil for the sake of evil. There's a part near the midpoint where he starts to regret designing Stitch without any purpose other than to destroy, and wonders how this affects him emotionally, and wonders about Stitch's changes in behavior, and feels bad when Lilo goes missing, and he even agrees to help Nani and Stitch rescue her. This movie rewrites his character so now he's evil, but still goofy and incompetent. So they got rid of Captain Gantu, and now we're stuck with this bumbling idiot who we're meant to take seriously as a threat at the end, even though he has a high-pitched, nasally voice and just spent the whole movie failing to catch Stitch in the most goofy ways possible, which of course undermines how threatening he is as a villain. It's such a baffling decision, why would they do that? They also changed Mr. Bubbles. He was a CIA agent posing as a social worker in the original movie, and we don't find that out until near the end. In this movie, he's introduced as a CIA agent, and then we see him posing as a social worker, so there's no reveal. Instead, they introduce a new character who fills the role of the social worker at the beginning, and then Mr. Bubbles comes in and becomes the second social worker. It's like they split this one character into 2 for no reason. This new character doesn't add anything to the movie, all it does is subtract from Mr. Bubbles. They also introduced another new character, David's mom or grandma or whatever she's supposed to be, who lives next door. The only thing she contributes is she does things that were originally done by Nani, to the detriment of Nani's character. Remember when Nani took Lilo to the animal shelter to get a dog because she wanted to make her happy, and this shows the audience that she actually cares about her, is willing to make sacrifices for her? Well, in the remake, it's David's mom who takes Lilo to get a dog, and she does it without Nani's knowledge or permission, and then Nani demands Lilo take Stitch back to the animal shelter when they reopen the next day. Speaking of sacrifice, Lilo actually does end up getting taken away from
White
Nani by the
cheeks.
social workers at the end, and they put her in the foster care of their neighbors, David and his mom. So the consequence is she's 30 feet away now, but Nani is now relieved of the responsibility, so the effect is now nothing stopping her from going to college.
Yeah, this is a problem with adding stuff. When you adding stuff to really straight story, you kinda diverging it, and it's losing the focus of the themes and stuff. So yeah, I don't know why these changes were made. It doesn't seem like it's much filler as they shorten some stuff and they replace some stuff. It just feels unnecessary, and that's it's not like the characters that they were couldn't do this stuff. It was still believable and added to characters, but this just makes characters seem even more one-dimensional. It's it's really, I see this as a really problem with remaking stuff. They had the same situation, the same feeling with remakes of my beloved stuff. That often they are more flat than the original.
To become a career woman, because God forbid a modern movie have a female character in a mother role put aside her own interests for the sake of her family. Don't ever expect a woman to make sacrifices, because that's sexist. The entire first movie is about Nani having to raise her little sister despite how much misery she causes her, and she has to make all these sacrifices to give her a good life because, as they bluntly explain, the theme of the movie is family sticking together, and then the remake comes and spits on the theme by having a character bastardize the famous quote from the original. Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten, but don't leave yourself behind. It's like it's encouraging single mothers to put themselves before their kids. I wonder what pink-haired executive came up with that idea. Oh, but it's okay because Lilo gets adopted by the family living 30 feet away and they have an alien portal gun so they can visit each other at any time. So the movie can have its cake and eat it. What is it with recent Disney movies and having backwards morals? Raya and the Last Dragon told us to trust people who don't deserve it. Wish told us reason and restraint are villainous traits. The Mulan remake told us girls can do anything as long as they were born just naturally better than everyone else. The Pinocchio remake told us it's okay to lie if it gets you out of trouble. And now the Lilo and Stitch movie is encouraging people to give up on their families to pursue their own goals. It's kind of ironic that Disney has been pushing these bad morals lately, and yet they're so afraid of offending imaginary people that they changed the part where Lilo is talking to the social worker and Nani is trying to signal to her what to say. In the original, Lilo misunderstands and says she gets disciplined with bricks, but I guess Disney decided that jokes about child abuse don't fly with the modern audience, so they changed it to something else, and I can't remember what they changed it to. And quite frankly, this movie doesn't deserve to be remembered. Alright, that's enough. I have a challenge for my audience. In the comments, name something you wish you knew before you grew up. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, check my channel for other videos you may have missed since YouTube doesn't always tell my subscribers when I upload, and support me on Patreon and send me your fan art. The link's in the pinned comment. Bye.
That's with random animals. Okay. So from what I seen, the movie was worse than original. I heard some about the controversy and about ending, but with the more stuff I've seen, it seems like it really diluted the message of the movie, of the original movie, and like, yeah, it wasn't. It doesn't sound good. It really doesn't. Mm. Uh, yeah, I didn't really have much to say. I seen Lilo and Stitch once. I read it a few times in my life, and I was really young and was watching Disney movies. It wasn't like my favorite one. I think I like it. And the Hunchback of Notre Dame more. But yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't bad. But it's really kind of sad how many stuff is just mediocre now at best. So I don't get it why they need so much, why they can't do like normal family stuff anymore, or like more mean humor. Like, well, I don't know. I know why. Everybody knows why. It's just, I think it would be better to buy this stuff if it was more gradual. Well, I don't like it on principle, but it's just well, the idea would be better then. But yeah. Goodbye, and remember, when you shine, darkness fades. Bye.